Hey, Kevin here from DIYDork.com. Today I want to show you this really cool kind of raw industrial makeover I did on this dresser, so check this out. Alright, check it out. Here is the dresser I'm going to redo. I found it on Craigslist. It was $25. I probably paid a little too much. Probably should have paid about 15 or 20 on it. It's exactly what I was thinking it was going to be though. It's really scratched up and beat up. There's chunks missing. This handle is totally chewed off. It will work perfect for this project. It ended up being a little smaller than I thought. I mean, compare my hand to it. It's not a very big dresser. I thought it was going to be a little taller. But anyway, it'll work out perfect. So my plan is, because it's so beat up, I'm going to use that to my advantage to add some really interesting texture to the paint job. So I'm going to sand the body just real quick. I'm not worried about taking the finish off. And then I'm going to prime and paint it and kind of make it look like concrete. Alright, then the drawers, I'm going to take off those old handles. I'm not going to use them. And I'm going to sand these down to raw wood, and I'm going to leave them. And they have plenty of texture and marks on them too, like that right there. And just up here and all that. So I'll just kind of smooth them out, but leave them as is. And it has some really cool hardware store hardware I can put on here for handles. And I think the overall look will look really cool, kind of a industrial modern look. So anyway, check this out. It should be a pretty fun project. Alright, and check it out. I brought everything inside. Got the drawer fronts all sanded raw. I'm just going to leave them as is until I add the hardware. And just check out all the wood grain on those. Pretty cool. They're all totally different. It's going to be kind of like a patchwork. Looks pretty awesome. I'm especially a fan of this one right here. Just check out that crazy grain going on. That's pretty cool. Alright, so then for the dresser body itself, I sanded it, I spray primed. You can see I just did it real quick, but it doesn't matter because when I paint it, I'm going to do a really sloppy job with a brush to kind of give it a little texture, and then I'm going to add the glaze that's going to make it kind of look like concrete. So I'll start working on that next. Alright, so I have 2 coats of brushed on paint. It looks pretty good. It has a lot of brush strokes in it, but that's okay. That's what I want. I want that texture. And it'll just help this glaze pull off that kind of concrete look that I want to make. So what I'm going to do is use some clear mixing glaze here. Alright, pour some in here. And then I'm going to add in just a touch of paint. Now this is just some gray paint I mixed up and put in this jar. But it's the same paint as this basically, just a little darker. Anyway, I'm going to mix it up and then just take my rag, dip it in there, and just wipe it over the whole thing. And the whole point is to make it look sloppy and messy. And then when it hits these little divots, let's see if they show up here. See, like right here, it's going to sink in those and get really dark, and then it'll just look kind of smeared up here. And then I'll probably do about maybe 2 coats on there, and it'll just get this really cool look. It's not exactly like concrete, but it just kind of resembles it. It just has a really cool look. So I'll start doing that next. Alright, so while that glaze is drying, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the handles for the drawer fronts. And if you remember, I said I was going to use some hardware store hardware, and what I plan on using is this right here. Alright, so I got a 5-inch long, 1/2-inch bolt. I've got a nut for it, and then I have these 2 screw eyes, which here's the packaging I used right here, 2 3/16 long. And as you can see, I need to get new mounting holes. These are just too close together. They're like 2 inches apart. So I think what I'm gonna do is measure out 1 inch from that one and 1 inch out from that one, drill holes, and then that's where I can drive in these screw eyes. And of course they'll sit in further, it'll look pretty cool. And then just to make it look intentional, I think I'll drill another hole right in between these 2. So when you look around the handle, you'll just see a couple holes. It'll look kind of decorative. I think that's a nice way to make it look like it was not an accident. So I'll start working on these. It'll be real simple, and I think they'll look pretty cool. Alright, and check it out. There it is, all finished. Turned out really cool. Check out that paint job. I have that silvery dove gray, and then I have 2 coats of the darker gray glaze that looks pretty interesting. I wiped it the opposite of how I brushed on the paint, and in that way you can kind of see how the brush strokes, the paint brush strokes, pop through. Plus there's a few lines from wiping that glaze on there, and it did a couple things. So not only did it give it that texture, you know, make the texture pop through, but those lines I think kind of look a little bit like brushed or broom finished concrete. If you ever had new concrete poured and they finish it with those brooms for added traction, it kind of has that look to it. And I know it's not exactly concrete, but it just kind of favors it, especially when you mix it with the raw wood and then the metal handles. So the handles turned out really awesome as well. You can kind of see my extra holes I drilled behind there just to, you know, make it look like it wasn't a total accident. I think it could also be kind of cool to go ahead and every inch all the way across the whole thing drill more holes. I think that might be kind of interesting. I just decided not to do that. And then my absolute favorite part is just the raw wood drawer fronts. I just think those look really cool. They all are kind of mismatched. It's just you just don't see wood grain like that too often anymore. You can tell this has some real age to it. So anyway, that was actually a really simple makeover, especially because I kept all the beat up marks and all that on here. I did no body work whatsoever and just used those as a feature. So turned out pretty awesome. It was really easy to do. Hey, thanks for checking out this video. I really appreciate that. If you liked it, go ahead and hit that thumbs up. That really helps get it out in front of other people that might like to check it out too. And if you haven't subscribed, be sure to do that to keep up with more videos. And if you want to see some other projects I have some here on the screen and down in the description below as well.